You're listening to episode 115 of the D6 podcast.
I don't know anything more important in our society or in the kingdom of God than to help the church, help the family.
Discipleship is not an event, it's a way of life.
And one day it just hit me that discipleship at home was not about doing more. It was about inviting Christ into what we were already doing.
The goal of family ministry is not families sitting on the couch holding hands and singing Kumbaya. The ultimate goal is families that love God, love people, and make disciples of all peoples.
So that's why you're here. You're here to say 1 hour a week, as significant and as awesome as it is, we know that it's not enough and we want to be intentional with every hour.
You're listening to the D6 podcast. Here's your hosts, Ron Hunter and Jeremy Lee.
This is the family ministry podcast that helps you connect church and home. And we are connecting church at home today with Sandy Atwood. Ron, you know Sandy.
I do know Sandy. She's one of our specialists who's on the phone as a consultant helping churches all over the world.
I would say that if our listeners have ever called in, they have an amazing shot of crossing paths with Sandy.
Very much so. And, you know, our whole team is excellent, but Sandy, she just, I don't know, this just fits her naturally. And she loves talking about it, and she's lived it, and that's part of why we hired her.
And she's distinguished.
Yes.
You know, she's classy. That's my impression of her, and she's knowledgeable, wise, kind, and I think you guys are going to just simply enjoy her and her topic. Now, I want to, I'm a little nervous that some of our loyal listeners will bail on this one, not because of Sandy, but because of the topic. Because it's the Dummy's Guide to D6. So if you know D6 at all, you're like, oh, well, I'll skip this one. I'm going to beg you not to skip it, because I think we all need to, before we can move forward to where we're going, we should take times to remember where we've been. And really, the D6 story is nothing less than the story of family ministry, which is nothing less than God's blueprint for how to pass down faith from generation to generation. And we all need to remember this. And so she's going to kind of walk us through the basics of the movement of D6, the curriculum, what you guys offer. She's going to give a nice little, opportunity for a new person who doesn't know much about D6 to hear all in one kind of snapshot of what you have to offer. But I bet you your loyal listeners will jump in and find some things they may not realize.
Oh, absolutely. Because one item they don't know about Sandy that we do know is that while she's an exceptionally gifted church consultant, she is never, ever taking off the hat of wife of a pastor and mom who has raised an incredible family, and she's lived this in her own personal life for many, many years. So we didn't hire her and have her adapt to who we are. We are what she has been part of her entire life.
Yes, and am I correct that she is the author of most of the Splinks?
Yes. Yes.
Now, let's talk about, she's going to talk about Splink, but you go ahead and talk a little bit about it, because it's a pretty incredible resource that somebody who's listening to this can just, for no money at all, start sharing with the parents in their ministry.
Yeah, probably, my guess is 12 years ago, 13 years ago, we decided to offer a Splink, which is a spiritual connection to your child's heart. And again, without a relationship, there is no discipleship. And people want to quickly bark a lesson, find a teachable moment, do discipline or correction of our kids. But if you don't have a relationship there, you're not going to sway their attitudes. And so we launched Splink as a way to have fun with your kids while weaving into it a teachable moment. And Splink is an email that goes out every Tuesday, gives you 3 ideas. Sometimes it's a craft, sometimes it's a story, sometimes it's a fun project, sometimes it's a recipe, it might be a nature walk. It could be any number of things that you just share the experience with your kids. And it gives you the opportunity to bring up some scriptural point that you can connect back to life. She just brilliantly writes these. They're 1 or 2 paragraphs each. They're very easy, and they're absolutely free. So go to d6family.com, click on the Splink, sign up. All you got to do is give us your email, and we'll send those out every week.
So I didn't listen to a word you were saying just now. No
That's
offense.
pretty
I'm
normal.
sure it was
That's
awesome.
okay. What'd you say?
Because I'm doodling. I mean, you might have seen.
I saw that. You were over there. Yeah.
Well, because I don't have my calculator with me, and I'm trying to work. And I know the Splink, they send out 3 of them per week. Kind of they break it up into little thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So that means 52, 12 years times 3. We come up with over 1,800.
Yes, when you consider there's 3 per week. That's right.
I want you to think about how many writers and family ministry leaders have written over 1,800 volumes of what they create.
And distinct ideas. And that's the hard part is people who want to write their own curriculum, they can do it for a year or 2. You knock that puppy out in years 4, 5, and 6 and tell me who you are. Sandy is in the trenches doing it now, 12 plus years.
So, mad respect, Miss Sandy. And I'm excited
Absolutely.
to introduce you to our audience on the podcast. I do believe is it her first time?
Nope.
No, she's been here
She's been
on
here
a short
before.
interview
Yep.
before. Well, I am very happy that we're going to get some extended time with you, Miss
Yes.
Sandy. After the break, we'll be talking to Sandy Atwood. She's going to give us the Dummy's Guide to D6. You'll enjoy it. We'll see you then.
Splink is a simple way to help families in your church link together spiritually. It comes as a free weekly email with ideas that parents can use to have fun, make memories, and talk with their kids. Those teachable moments give moms and dads opportunity to share spiritual truths and life lessons. And no matter how busy life is, there's always time to Splink. Share d6family.com with the parents in your ministry so they can sign up today to start receiving free weekly Splink.
Well, sometimes you get to just talk to family, and that's what we're going to do today because we have a member of the D6 family sitting across the table. And listen, just because you're family, we're not going to treat you any less different, Miss Sandy.
Thank you.
She is, Miss Sandy has been told. I have had plenty of people say, "You're interviewing Miss Sandy. Oh, you're going to love that interview. It's going to be great." So you got a lot to live up to here. You ready?
Thank you. I'm ready.
Okay, Sandy Atwood is part of the D6 family. But first of all, and I love how you started this, you're wife to Richard first.
I am.
You're mom to 4 adult children. That's incredible that you got them all the way to adults. 3 boys.
And they live.
3 boys, 1 girl. Oh, and you're a grandmom to William and Lydia. I noticed that you didn't give your kids names. They were just 3 boys and 1 girl.
That's right.
But you named those grandkids. That's impressive. You're church planners in Mount Juliet. You work at Randall House Publishing. You're one of the curriculum writers. And people need to know, because there's so many that are listening, probably that enjoy Splink, Splink. And if you don't enjoy Splink yet, you need to. It's a great resource. We'll talk about that in a second. But she's the one who puts that together. And she loves encouraging families and connecting them in fun ways. Well, let's get connected in fun ways today. What do you say?
Sounds good.
I was hoping that our topic today, we could do a Dummy's Guide to D6. Now, I'm a dummy, so this is perfect. But basically what we need is we need to have a little bit of a session for people who are not familiar with D6 at all. They're brand new to the concept. Somehow their head's been in the sand and they've missed it all. And in particular, the D6 curriculum, I wanted to have a session that we could offer someone who is seriously considering a new curriculum and wanted to check out the D6 curriculum. I wanted to give them a nice little tutorial through it. It's not overwhelming, but gives them a good idea of what makes it special and unique. So you down with that?
I am down with that.
All right, here we go. Let's start with this. I want to pretend that I've never heard of the D6 or D6 curriculum before. So give me the backstory. Give me the origin story of D6.
Okay, well, it was originally God's plan. I mean, how can you beat that? He wrote in Deuteronomy 6, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might. And these words that I command to you shall be on your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, shall talk of them when you sit in the house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise." And that is what it is based, that's where the name comes from, Deuteronomy 6. And so that is the beginning of the origin of it. But it originally started when our CEO, Ron Hunter, he had been a pastor probably for 11 years, and he realized that there was more. He saw the need for family ministry. So he took a position there, and then he shortly after that became the CEO of Randall House, and he piloted this whole movement for us. And in 2004, he developed the CLEAR curriculum. CLEAR standing for Connect. Get those kids in there, get those adults, and connect them with something fun, and so that they can start being interested in the Bible. Learn, what's the Bible say? Explore, dig a little deeper, apply. What does this mean to me? And then respond. What am I going to do with this, what I've learned this week?
That's good.
And so that's the framework, and sort of a little backstory.
Cool. So what about the D6 conference? Like, this is kind of a special event. We're at the D6 conference now. Tell me why did y'all decide to do a conference, and what's the story behind that?
Well, it was. This is the 9th year. There have been 8 prior to this, and he saw the need to connect people. Too long, he realized that churches, parents had outsourced their spiritual discipleship of their children to the church, and it needed to come back home. And so he wanted to gather ministry workers, parents, grandparents, and just create a little bit of a shift to generational discipleship, so that we're not bringing them to church and saying, hey, you disciple my kids. I want to do that myself.
And so the CLEAR curriculum, I'm assuming at some point it transitioned to the D6 curriculum.
It did.
So tell us about that.
It changed names, I think, maybe in 2006 was the time Ron actually coined. Actually, it's sort of, people were saying that D6 curriculum, and so it just became a term that was used after that. But
And if I'm considering this curriculum, never heard of it before, let's just say I roll up to your booth, right? And I'm like, what is this? Talk to us about what's unique and different.
I love the Bible emphasis. That is what is going to change anyone's life, is getting them into the Bible. So we have a strong Bible emphasis. Every quarter, we have an Old Testament unit, a New Testament unit, and a special topic. Every single quarter.
And each one lasts a month, I'm assuming, since
Each
there's
one
3.
lasts a month, and this is bite-sized pieces for people to get into the Word. And then my favorite part about the curriculum is that every age is on the same page. Parents are studying what their kids are studying, so the conversation can move beyond the church. Before it was kids are studying Jonah, teens are studying the Beatitudes, adults are studying another thing, and then adults. And so how can you know unless when you get in the car and you say, what did you learn today? And they actually would answer that. You wouldn't even know what they learned. And so this is such a great way to continue that conversation beyond that.
Something I like when I hear that is that there's built-in starts and stops. Like for the Old Testament, there's only 4 weeks. There's a start of it, then there's a stop, then you move to something else. There's a New Testament, 4 weeks, start and stop, and then that special topic, that topical thing, start and stop. For me, as a minister, I would love that, because sometimes one of the things about curriculum that gets old, dusty, and stale, it's like this never-ending thing that is like ongoing forever. And you guys have created ways to get fresh. You can almost do it like sermon series almost. Hey, we've got a new thing coming up, and you can introduce, and everybody loves new and improved, don't they? They love new and improved. So we got this new thing. I love it. One more thing that I wanted to mention too is we develop every quarter a devotional study guide for every age group. Again, if we just bring our kids to the church for them to disciple, it's not going to happen in 1 hour out of 168 in a week. It's just not going to happen. So we have to teach people to be self-feeders. We want them to get into the Bible, so we provide that resource for them. And then we also this is something that is, I feel like, unique to our curriculum, is we
empower, and we resource parents. We send the home connection out every week with something to say, something to pray, and something to do together. And then on Tuesday, we send out a weekly email called The Splink.
Yeah.
And it's filled with fun ideas on how to have those spiritual conversations when you walk, by the way, when you eat, when you sleep, when you just different ways.
Now let's make a note that Splink is free.
Absolutely free.
You're going to have to pay for that curriculum, but the Splink is absolutely free. Where do they go to get that?
Go to our website or just put in Google Splink and it'll come up and you can sign.
S-P-L-I-N-K.
S-P-L-I-N-K.
Which I kind of need to understand. Where'd you get that from, Splink?
It's a spiritual conversation, but it's not a devotion. Like you're going to have to, line up the kids on the couch and we're going to have a 30-minute devotion. They're more activity-based, so we came up with that name as a spiritual link.
Spiritual link.
You
guys are so clever.
To help parents, when you're tucking them into bed, ask this question. When you're in the car, play categories on things we're thankful for. Just simple ways, because who has more time to add another activity into the week? So we just want them to have ways to build God into the everyday life.
I love it. Are you going to ever run out of ideas with Splink?
Oh my goodness, I've written over probably way over 1,000 of them. So, yeah, sometimes I think the well is going to run dry pretty quick. But I had 4 kids, and you had to come up with a lot of ideas to keep 3 boys busy.
So we need to do your bio next time. You need to say author of over 1,000 Splinks. You do realize you've probably written more than any of these authors at this conference. With that.
I don't know about that.
I do. Okay, so could you share with us some success stories of churches that you might have heard of that are using the curriculum and love it?
I also work 2 days a week in the office at Randall House, and I work in customer service.
So you get to hear it.
Oh, it is great. You won't believe, just recently I had a guy from Georgia. They just started using the curriculum about 9 months ago, and he called me to tell me, he said, one Sunday night a month, they get all their families together, grandparents, parents, kids, and they do Splink night. And he said, I print out the Splinks, put them on the tables, and we divide them up with grandparents and parents, and not the same family, but in different groups. And he said, it is so loud and so fun. He said, this has just been a great way for us to begin to build into each other's lives. And it's been great. And I hear that like lots of times, not just with Splink, but with the curriculum. This is the first time my child has wanted to read the Bible. This is the first time that I have had the resources that I needed. I wanted to, but I didn't know how to disciple my own children. And a lot of teachers are saying it's easy. Everything I need is in the Teaching Essential packet, and I don't have to go searching everywhere else for it. So we hear a lot of great stories about churches that are using it.
I love that. All right, so you are also teaching a seminar here at D6, and it's called The 8 Simple Tips to Help Parents Connect Church at Home. We probably don't have time for all 8, but can you give us a couple of the best ones? Can we cheat a little bit?
I already mentioned the Splink because I think I've met a lot of parents who wanted to be disciplers of their children, but so we learned about David and Goliath. What am I supposed to do at home with that? They just didn't have that. But if you give me some ideas, I could do, maybe not all 3, but I could do one idea. And so that's probably my favorite one. But another one I want to encourage parents to do is to pray for their kids. That is, to me, the most powerful of, I know we're selling curriculum here, but that is the powerful. You're connecting the Word and you're connecting God, and you begin to pray those things, and God does amazing things.
Well, that is awesome. I thank you so much for being with us. You won't believe this, but we are out of time already.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Jeremy.
You're like, yes, that's good. That means I get to go.
Thanks.
You've done great. This has been great. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
D6 Curriculum is a comprehensive discipleship strategy for all ages in your church. Solid biblical content teaches wise decision-making, and the curriculum emphasizes a biblical worldview. Each quarter of D6 curriculum contains 3 studies, 1 Old Testament, 1 New Testament, and 1 special topic study addressing cultural issues, apologetics, and Christian living. D6 is great for use in life group, small group, or Sunday school. D6 curriculum is affordable and easy to use. You can order teaching materials in print or digital format. See how D6 curriculum gets every age on the same page at d6family.com.
I think you know why she's special in our place, Jeremy.
Yes.
I want to remind you, she gave you some really insightful areas for why D6, and if you are new to D6 and you're not using it, understand there are thousands of churches that have implemented some part of D6, or there's D6 Leader Network, our books, the Splinks, curriculum, and the curriculum's the big deal. That's that lifestyle of living it in and out. And if you have not settled on your curriculum choice for the fall, many, many churches make their change in the fall. I would consider you the person who should take what you've just heard from Sandy, go to d6family.com, click on curriculum, explore the options there, download some samples, and just see if what she's saying couldn't be useful in your church, in your family.
Well, and let's give Sandy's digits. I got them right here. 1-800-877-7030. 1-800-777 or 877-70. I feel like I'm going to tell
I know it.
To make your pledge today.
That's right. No pledge. But when you call and you get
she's
sales,
on this phone, right?
She is.
Yeah.
When you call that 800 number, you could get Wendy, you could get Sandra, you could get Becky, you could get David, you could get Randy, you could get Lori. If any one of them answer the phone, you just say, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to Sandy. I want to talk to Sandy.
I want to talk to the Sandy
That's
Atwood.
Right.
I've heard of her.
That's right.
All right. So if you guys want to talk to her, I'll give it one more time. 1-800-877-7030. Pick up that phone and call today. All right. Hey, thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys are having a great summer. I want to echo what Ron said about curriculum choices. I know you're planning for the fall, and as you're planning and considering, this is the time to be checking out curriculums. If you're happy with what you got, then keep rolling. But if you're looking and interested, D6 has a pretty cool curriculum that I think is very unique. And if you want to know why it's unique, call that number and talk to Sandy. She can tell you. And,
next week, you're going to be interviewing Dr. Edward Moody.
Oh, my goodness.
This is a little heavier topic, but very needed.
I was about to say, yeah, this was... there are times when I do interviews that I'm like, I wish I could just download every minister in the whole world because it's just needed. This is one of those. So we're going to be talking, I'm going to just leave it there, leave a little interest for next week. But Eddie Moody is going to serve us all very well next week. You will enjoy it. Until then, we hope you have a great week of ministry, and thanks for listening to the D6 Podcast.
You've been listening to the D6 Podcast. You can learn more about D6 at d6family.com. And if you're a minister, we invite you to join the D6 Leader Network by going to d6leader.net.